Parents, your children could be faced with a new form of bullying that's being called quiet bullying. Of course, there are the traditional types of bullying that we talk about all the time. The bullying that can happen on the playground or at school. It usually involves picking on a kid physically or verbally. Of course, there's also cyberbullying, when kids are bullied online, whether that's social media, in text message, or in gaming sessions. But quiet bullying involves leaving someone out, excluding them from different activities. And that is what is making some kids feel less than and hurt their self-esteem. It also, of course, leaves parents trying to figure out how to protect their kids and how to handle all of this. So we have someone here to help us with that. Joining us now is pediatrician and author of the book Calm and Confident Parenting, How to Care for Yourself and Your Kids Through Life's Chaos, Dr. Alison Mitzner, joining us now with more on all of this. So quiet bullying, it seems like a little bit of a challenge in and of itself, because there's not something that you can point to, words on a text message or abuse on the playground. What is quiet bullying, and how is this different from the other forms of bullying?
Yes, exactly. So it's different in that it is not as obvious as you mentioned. It's leaving the kids out of text messages, emails, that's social exclusion. So often it's hard to come up with evidence, like you said, and difficult to prove. And frequently the kids that are doing this are very social and outgoing and can easily talk themselves out of any accusations towards them. So the difference, again, it's not that obvious that you can report it because it leaves them feeling really isolated and lonely.
So how can you recognize it, whether you are a parent or a teacher?
The one thing you do start to see, you can see behavior changes in your child, and you know your kid best. Some people think it's just a teen becoming moody, but you know that these changes in them. So you might see your child becoming more emotionally reactive. They might be crying more, irritable. You might see that there's changes in their eating or sleeping. The other big thing you might notice is a change in their online behavior. So at the extremes, some kids might not look at their phones at all anymore, where some are just overly attached and looking at quite frequently.
It's hard to be able to tell too, right? Because I would imagine that sometimes people just forget to include someone in something. How do you know if it's intentional or someone was purposely left out time and time again?
Right.
Or unintentional, rather, I meant to say. Yes.
Right. And that's a good distinction between how you can identify this. Is it just a one-off? And not everyone is going to be invited to everything all the time. That's just normal socializing or child development, adults too. But is it that it's that intention? Is it just a one-off and there wasn't a room to invite everyone? Or is it that repeated intentional harm that someone's doing to someone else, whether to upset them, embarrass them, or harm their relationship with others?
And there are also some clinical implications of bullying, a decrease in academic performance, self-esteem, anxiety, depression, things that we have talked about. What are some tips that you have for parents in navigating a situation like this?
The one thing, as we said, it's often difficult to prove. So if you want to always communicate with your child, keep that dialogue open. If you're not sure and you see they're sleeping more, really dig it out of them. Ask, is there something that's bothering you? When they do start speaking or if they tell you things, you want to let them know it's that safe space and listen, empathize, and listen without judgment, and let them know that you believe them, because that's a big thing. You want them to know you're there for them to figure it out. And then the other thing I would say is parents often think take away the phone. That really can, shield them from this. But in fact, that can do the reverse. So you don't want to take away their phone. That can make them feel even more isolated and lonely. And in fact, less likely to share things with you in the future.
I know we're talking about kids, but I can imagine that this could also be a problem for adults too.
Yes. Whether it's moms or parenting groups or in the workplace, you can see that. And it's the intention. And with kids too, you want to know, friendships change over time. Is this just the friendships changing, or is it something that someone's intentionally doing to you? And in adults, it may be because there's competition, or they don't want to lose their place or protect their place in a social environment or socially. But yes, it can happen like that. And you just want to make sure that friendships change. Stick with those friends that really know your worth, and do things that you enjoy and hobbies and things that you can control. That's the best thing to do, even as an adult.
Dr. Alison Mitzner, it's great to talk to you. Thanks for these tips, and thanks for joining us on this Sunday.
Thanks for having me.